Hey. Hey there, how's everybody doing? I am Toy Johnson-Vincent, your no sugarcoating coach, motivational speaker, certified life coach, HR consultant, focusing on matching that wonderful talent to major corporations. That's right. And not only that, but also for corporate training, the soft skills, learning, and training. Those are topics that I will present to your audience. So, you know what? It's a new year, it's 2023. And again, I'm Toy Johnson Vincent, your no sugarcoating coach. Well, what's up with everybody? How's everybody doing? What have you been doing? Don't forget to leave it in the chat. I appreciate that. Also, before you get going, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this live. Don't forget, it will create the link. All you need to do is share, and hopefully, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And hopefully, you will come back or take a moment once this is over and you go and check out all of the videos that I've uploaded thus far. There's something for everyone, whether it's personal development, career development, personal growth and development, right? And of course, you need to develop your own innate talent. And today I was just really coming on to talk about sharing your own success story, creating it, if you will. It is titled Creating Your Own Success Story. Why not do that? You should do that. And what I'll tell you is that when you start to look at other success stories or stories of others that you found very successful, but you have yet to create your own, why is that? You relish in what other people's stories are. I do the same. I see other people's stories out there, and I think there are some amazing stories, and some are so unforgettable. It is unreal because for me, it's almost like I can't believe that that person went through such an just it's not always an amazing time in their life, but it could be a traumatic time in their life, and they did share their story. And I too, as a motivational speaker, a certified life coach, and as I mentioned earlier, HR consultant focusing on primarily talent acquisition, as well as training from a corporate perspective and nonprofit presentations. I've been on multiple stages, and what I found that I was able to share just a piece of my story so that you understand my journey and almost why I do the things I do, because we need to know what our why is. We know how to do a lot of things, but what is your why? Why do you do the things that you do? Why do you share the content that you do? So all of the authors and speakers and content creators out here on YouTube, I mean, we're out here. And I think you want to be, more or less unapologetic on what you share that you want others to learn from. So, again, it may be a traumatic experience. It may not really be a traumatic experience to you, but to someone in the listeners that chime in or they listen to your content, it's very easy to influence others. So, again, you just really, it's not a bad thing to get your story out there. In fact, it's encourageable because what you might say that you've gone through will probably help someone else. And even if they decided they never wanted to talk about something or they thought it was something maybe embarrassing, and to you it's kind of like, no, it's not really embarrassing, it's just something I went through, right? It could be your childhood or what have you, something family or through friends, an experience. And now you are sharing your story. So again, you have the floor. It's a great tool. I have several videos on this platform. I definitely upload a lot of my podcasts. And as a matter of fact, my podcast show is Speak to Me First Podcast Show. Speak to Me First Podcast Show. And you can get that podcast show anywhere you get your podcast, especially on Anchor FM, Spotify, Google Cast, and so many other platforms. So it doesn't matter if you don't have the iPhone or you have an Android. The phone really doesn't matter. What matters is that you have access, and most of all of us have access to Google. So don't forget, Toye Johnson-Vincent, your no sugarcoating coach. Pull me up, and you'll see that podcast show will come up. Speak to Me First Podcast Show. Speak to Me First Podcast Show. And I talk a lot about success stories. I also talk about challenges. And I like to ask you, what are some of your challenges today? What are some of your challenges today? Go ahead and put that in the comment. And you might say, well, it's not something I really want to talk about. And that's fine. At some point, you will understand why and how it's so important that you share your story. And the reason why is because, again, it goes right back to if you've gone through it and you're a survivor, that is an amazing task in and of itself. And one of the things that I talk about, which, it's a difficult subject, and that is the subject of grief and loss. Uh, you know, for me, including family members, that's correct that I would have lost some family members at this point in time in my life. And people who I just miss dearly, my mom, my dad, my aunties, my uncles. I mean, it just goes down the line. And actually, a best friend as well. So I know it from all angles. But if you look at my bio, go onto my website, TJV empowers you, the letter u.com. Again, TJV empowers you, the letter u.com. And you will see where I talk about the most traumatic loss for anyone, according to psychologists or psychiatrists or medical professionals, is the loss of a child. Now, in my case, it was the loss of my one and only child, who was of toddler age, and I was in my 20s at the time when I lost her, and that is just to congenital heart disease. And so I'm very passionate about supporting heart disease, support for people who are going through that. It may be of adolescents, it could be young children, but with the American Heart Association. And these are just something, what happened to me. I'm sure I'm not the only person that has lost their child due to a congenital heart disease. And but it could be something that's very difficult to talk about. In fact, for years I did not talk about it, or I talked about it sparingly, and only within a certain group of people or family or friends that already knew what I had gone through. So and of course with their support. And I just want to say, take my hat off to my daughter's father's family, because they were also instrumental in terms of the grieving process. Because again, it's not just me that lost the child; there's also a father that lost his daughter as well. So, and again, that was very well when I was in my 20s. Wasn't not married at the time or anything like that, but I definitely remember as if it were yesterday. And I want to say, if you just happen to stumble upon this video, if you will, right here on YouTube. And I plan to come on a lot more and do some lives. I really want you to think about what exactly, let's see here. Okay, if you're coming in, okay. I want you to think about what is the one of the most traumatic things that probably has happened in your life. It may be family, it could be friends, it could be a loss. It may even been a loss of a job, because again, I talk about my content is primarily about career development, professional development, and the big one is resilience, hashtag networking. But as it relates to what I have gone through, whether it's the anniversary of the passing of my daughter or the anniversary of what would have been a birthday, it is still difficult. It will never, I will never get over this, if you will. But you learn, or I've learned to manage the grief. And I think that's where the key is to managing the grief, even the most traumatic loss, according to medical professionals. How do you do that? You might ask me, and somebody actually did. Well, one of the things is really to lean on my faith. That's really number one. And of course, there are just people, certain people in my family, and or close friends that I'm able to talk openly about my feelings. I'm able to talk openly when that anniversary pops up. And believe me, if you've gone through this, the anniversaries will pop up. Just as if, again, when you lose someone, their birthday dates keep coming back on the calendar. And here you are looking at that calendar, reflecting, if you will, on the passing of someone that was really close to you. But for me, over the years, and I said, and I was actually happy someone asked me the question, because um, oftentimes, people that they don't even want to touch the subject. They don't want to deal with it. And we know grief and loss, hashtag grief and loss, it is a part of life. And it's just something that you will have to eventually deal with one way or the other. But it's best that you keep your own, self together, if you will, for lack of a better terminology. You just don't want to become overwhelmed, and you don't want to live a life of feeling the overwhelmed feeling of grief and loss, because often that is what it presents, and that's how it comes across. So I just wanted to say I'm also someone who is available, if you want to learn more about me and how to create your own success journey. For me, I believe I am successful, especially after coming through all of that, and still was able to rise and rise right there, and try to stay or regain, to be on top of my game, if you will. And that means psychologically, just being able to feel really good again, understanding about grief, learning and getting the support that you may need. That's very important for anyone, no matter if you lost a child or a family member or a friend. Because one thing that I know for sure, that grief will come when you least expect. Even if years and years and years have gone by, it just comes in waves. So I am available to talk to you or your group about grief and loss. Just make sure you inbox me and let me know if you have a particular event that's coming up and you are interested in someone to speak about grief and loss. In this case, especially if it's more geared to, or the theme is about the loss of a child. I hate to say it, but I'm an expert now at it, and it's a kind of a club that you don't wish that on anyone, but it did happen. It was the reality for me, and many others, of course, in my family and my close friends. And all of these years later, again, grief can come, and it does come in waves. So it is important that that you get it out there. I have loads of content. I customize my content. So if you have a small group, medium or large, or there's a conference coming up or something like that, or you're interested in doing a virtual, have a virtual presentation or a group talk, and you focus on grief and grief support, grief and loss recovery, all of those things, I'd be happy to share my own experience, my personal experience with your group. So I thank you so much for jumping in on my live today. And if you missed the live, make sure you go back and look at the replay. I appreciate it. And again, to learn more about me and my story of really surviving the grief of the loss of my daughter, I appreciate all of you for reaching out to me. If you are indeed in need of a speaker for upcoming event on this particular topic, you can reach out, learn more about me at TJV Empowers You, the letter U.com. Again, TJV Empowers You, the letter U.com. I'm also on social media platforms, which would be Facebook. I do have a page out there. Just pull me up, Toye Johnson-Vincent. And on LinkedIn, if you want to inbox and message me, I'd be happy to listen to see, if you do have a particular group and my content is a match. Please keep in mind, I am a speaker for hire. Again, I am a speaker for hire, but I do also complimentary coaching calls, and they're 30-minute complimentary coaching calls. So again, if you want to connect with me, you may message me via LinkedIn, and I appreciate the time and effort that you took to listen to this live today, and hopefully we will connect soon. So for now, as I always say, I talked about creating your own success journey. That's pretty much, or story. That's pretty much what I wanted to bring across to you today. But in this particular event, it is geared towards grief and loss and that particular journey. But you can still create your own successful journey as it relates to grief and loss, or grief and loss recovery. So again, as I say when I end all of my broadcasts, other than just saying thank you, I want to say to you, success is in your future. I'm Toye Johnson-Vincent, aka No Sugar Coating Coach. Bye for now.